Hi folks, welcome to this week's edition of the Inside Track with the Scottish Sun. Jim Delahunt here with me as always. Jim, York this week, one of the great weeks of racing. Maybe not the best week for punters usually, but well, certainly for me. How was it for you yesterday?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad on the opening day. I managed to find myself on Santorini Star, which was actually Templegate's nap in the sun yesterday. I thought that was a decent price at 9 to 2, went off 100 to 30. As with all the great each way bets, my anti-post tip for the Acomb Stakes, which was Rochfort Bridge, I'd managed to tip that up anti-post on Sunday at 25 to 1. It finished fourth, but there we go. These things happen. It ran a very good race, and it's one to keep an eye on, owned by Jimmy Fife, the Dundee United director. He paid a lot of money for it. And I think Adrian Keatley and his team would be pretty happy with that fourth in a Group 3, just second time out. But it's onwards and upwards, and we're looking forward to two cracking days, Friday and Saturday, Robert.
Yeah, well, we just had a look back at the Juddmonte yesterday. Ombudsman, friend of the show, for Royal Ascot, won it
Yeah.
well. But we had another pacemaker incident where maybe two furlongs out, people are starting to think, oh no, we could have another pacemaker winning here. What do you make of it? I mean, there's been a lot of chat about pacemakers. Is it right? Is it not right? What do you take? What's your take on it?
Well, strictly speaking, it's wrong because they're meant to run on their merits. But I suppose you could say that the horse at Goodwood, which won at goodness knows what price, and I think it runs again this weekend, that ran on its merits because it won. But I think Robert Havlin or Rab Havlin from Saltcoats said yesterday after riding that pacemaker at York that he turned round a furlong, 2 furlongs out, and he thought he was going to win it. So I'm not sure he got the pace right, no matter what he said. So it is all a bit odd, but Ombudsman, as you say, cracking turn of pace showed a couple of starts ago. Very unlucky in the eclipse, and I thought in the end a very, very worthy winner. But astonishingly, the pacemaker hung on for what was it, third place and a huge prize over 100 grand.
As we said, about 114,000 or something
Yeah,
for
yeah,
third place, but it just had a weird look of it, the race with the pacemaker going so far in front.
yeah.
Kind of, I don't really know what the point of that was, but it worked for them. I'll have to think Ombudsman would probably have done that anyway, whether Rab Havlin's horse was in the race or not. Do you not think?
Yeah, it worked for them. I thought some of the comments afterwards were weird. Somebody said that Ombudsman likes seeing a horse in front of it. I don't think Ombudsman thinks that way, to be perfectly honest. I think Ombudsman does what William Buick tells him. And I think he quickened, and he got there in the end. But pacemakers, leave them out for me. Leave them out.
Well, wouldn't imagine there'll be a pacemaker in the Nunthorpe tomorrow, which is the main race on Friday. You fancy Lady Iman in this, I believe. You put that up
Yeah,
on paper this morning. You just give us your case for that.
Yeah, I'm very, very keen on this filly, trained by Ger Lyons, and I think most people know by now, Ger's not a great traveller. He's not one for travelling his horses out of Ireland when he doesn't have to. But I think the owners have had a word with him and said, look, this is a huge prize. She's a very speedy filly. This Nunthorpe Stakes is unique because the 2-year-olds, which very rarely run in the race, but when they do, they've won twice in 33 years, which admittedly is not a great record, but they can win if they're good enough. And I think Lady Iman, being a filly, gets even more weight than normal. She runs out here off 8 stone 2. Now the fillies were down to run off 8 stone, but there was a condition in the race saying that if fillies were in the race, the weights would be raised to 8 stone 2. So that has a knock-on effect for the ones up the top, like JM Jungle, which instead of 9 stone 13 now carries 10 stone 1. Now that might not sound a lot, but when Joe Fanning is doing 8 stone 2 on Lady Iman and Jason Hart's got about a stone and a half of lead in his saddle with JM Jungle, that can make a huge difference. JM Jungle is a very good horse, as we all know. He's a real York specialist. He hated bumping into American Affair a few times, but once that horse was out the way at Goodwood, he won his really good race down there. But he's got to give £23 to this flying filly, Lady Iman, and I think that's just too much. Joe Fanning, despite coming up on 55 years of age, Robert, can still do 8 stone 2. I think this is a point and shoot job for Joe. He's drawn nice and low in stall 4, jump out quick, go to the front, keep her going, don't move around too much. Just let her go at her own pace. She's pretty fast. She's got that one speed out the gate. She goes for it. I think she'll get home in front. Lady Iman getting a huge amount of weight from the older horses is very much the one for me. I've mentioned JM Jungle. I'd be very disappointed for Jason and John and Sean Quinn if that one isn't placed. And I think you'd maybe had a look at Arizona Blaze.
Yeah, but just on Lady Iman, definitely deserves to be favourite. Although a drifter now, I mean, out to
Yeah,
92 now, she's getting to a very backable price. But I think the thing with your selection, Jim, is she doesn't look like a 2-year-old, does she?
Yeah, yeah,
I look,
yeah.
I watched the Morecambe again this morning, and she dwarfed them, didn't she? She
Yeah,
looks
and she's
just
very muscled up as well. And I think that has swayed them. I think they're thinking they've got a 2-year-old which is very, very mature and also very experienced. This isn't a 2-year-old with one or two runs. This is a 2-year-old which has won all her races over 5 furlongs, been beaten once at 6, but also won at 6. So there's a bit of stamina there as well. I think that the 5 furlongs up the Knavesmire will be absolutely perfect. And I'm a bit biased because I know Joe Fanning, but I think Joe is just the man to be on board off 8 stone 2. Point and shoot, Joe. Point and shoot.
well. I hope you're right. I mean, I've had a look at the race. I mean, as I've said to you in this programme a few times, Jim, I'm hopeless at York, so take this with a huge pinch of salt. But I thought Arizona Blaze Hust can't be far away. I mean, second in the
Yeah,
Commonwealth Cup, came out and won at the Curragh the next time out. Adrian Murray stable, 29% strike rate at the moment. Drawn 9 as well. Eight of the last 10 winners have been for single figure stalls. So plenty of pace around them as well. Frost at Dawn in there, Night Raider. So I mean, you'll have a battle to get to the front, but stay 6 furlongs, so won't
yeah.
mind going off like the clappers here. But Arizona Blaze, purely just to pick one up against you. But I'm kind of agree with you and Lady Iman. I think she's going to be hard to beat, and I'd love to see her win it.
It'd be nice to get the 1, 2, 3 there. We've mentioned three in particular: Lady Iman, Arizona Blaze, and JM Jungle. So let's see how they finish on Friday. I'm going to start off on Friday with a horse called Insanity. It's trained by Alan King, and it's owned by old pals of yours, the McNeil family, and Rossa Ryan is in the saddle. This horse won at Ayr in June, and a bit disappointing next time at the Newmarket July course. No idea what went wrong there. I haven't seen anything in the stewards' reports to suggest there was anything particularly wrong. But I thought Insanity ran a really good race in the Shergar Cup last time. That suggested he was edging back to his best. I don't think this is a great race for 120 grand, this 150, the Sky Bet handicap at York on Friday. It's over a mile and a half. And Rossa Ryan, I think, is a great booking for Alan King. So Insanity is going to be the one for me in that 150. And another horse I wanted to mention on Friday, Robert, before we move on, is one of Charlie Johnson's. Now, this one is not ridden by Joe Fanning. It's owned by an owner which doesn't use Joe, and Harry Bentley, who is actually riding the other horse on 8 stone 2 in the Nunthorpe Stakes. That's Michael Bell's Spicy Marg. Charlie Johnson has booked Harry Bentley for this one off 8 stone 6, Blessed Star. It's a 3-year-old, very much on the upgrade in my book, and stepping up to a mile and a quarter, an extended mile and a quarter for the first time. I think could be very nicely in off the same mark as last time, which was her opening handicap mark. They've kept her on the same. I think going up from a mile to 10.5 furlongs might just do the trick. So Blessed Star for me in the 4:10 on Friday at York.
So once York's finished, you can switch your attention back up to closer to home for
Yeah.
Hamilton, where we've got the Silver Bell, the Lanark Silver Bell. Big night there for the track. I believe you fancy one that you've been keen on a few times recently in that.
Yeah, very much so. It's trained by Ian Jardine, a horse called Paddy the Squire, which won last time out doing handsprings at Thirsk. He has run in this race before. He's a 5-year-old now. He ran in it as a 3-year-old and finished second, beating 3.5 lengths 2 years ago. Andrew Mullen gets on very well with the horse. Paddy the Squire, he's gone up £9 in the handicap for that Thirsk win, which wasn't enough to get him in the Ebor. They fancied running this horse in the Ebor. Remember, Ian won the Ebor a few years ago with Nikita. He also won this race, the Lanark Silver Bell, with Nikita as well. And Paddy the Squire, I think, with this race cutting up to 8 runners, and it would probably be less if Jim Goldie didn't run 3, because Jim has chucked in Spanish Hustle and Tafsir at the bottom, which you would not have thought would have winning chances, although his other one, Phalak, could not be discounted. But I think Paddy the Squire has this race at his mercy. I'm not sure how the betting's going to go, because there's an interesting one from Ian Williams' yard called Bel Air Bay, which is going for a 4-timer under David Nolan. And that one could have run in a race at York, but they've decided to go to Hamilton. So I suspect that's going to be the danger, Bel Air Bay going for the 4-timer. But the way Paddy the Squire has been performing the last twice at a mile and a half, I think that's now his trip. Ever since he finished second in the Silver Bell 2 years ago, they've been running at a mile and a quarter. They dropped him back. He's been back up to a mile and a half the last twice. I think that suits the horse. And I'll be disappointed if Paddy the Squire can't win the Lanark Silver Bell. 6:35 Hamilton on Friday night.
And I mean, Goldie's got three in that race, but he's got others scattered across the card as well. And I believe there's another Goldie horse later on that you fancy.
Yeah, he's got horses. Oh, he's had horses running all week. He's had a treble at Ayr on Monday. He had horses running in the what do you call it, the Racing League at Newcastle on Thursday night. He's got a lot down there. But there's a horse called JM Jingree, which I believe is owned by a Rangers player whose name escapes me at the moment. But Reese Elliott takes £5 off this 3-year-old down to 8 stone 3. Has been running and winning once at Musselburgh, but I just think this stiffer track at Hamilton with the uphill finish might suit this horse a bit better. And despite the fact that Amy walks on Water of Leith, my hunch, without speaking to Jim, is that Amy's on that because she probably knows the horse better. I think Reese Elliott is a very, very competent young apprentice jockey, Scottish lad, rides for Michael Dodds, and Jim's booked him for JM Jingree. And I think that might be the value bet in the 7:05 at Hamilton on Friday. But of course, this Lanark Silver Bell, they claim it's one of the oldest races in racing history. I think Carlisle tried to dispute that by saying the Carlisle Bell is a little bit older. So we're never going to know. But let's just say it dates back to about the 14th or 15th century. So it's an old prize to win.
And then back to York on Saturday with the Ebor, the main event of the whole week, main event of the Ebor Festival. We've got Ethical Diamond in there for Willie Mullins, ridden by William Buick. That's going to have an obvious chance, doesn't it? Winner of the Duke of Edinburgh, Royal
Yeah.
Ascot. Up £8 for that, though, Jim. Do you think that could maybe put the brakes on him?
Yeah, and interestingly, although there's been more money for Ethical Diamond on Thursday morning, Hip Hop de Loire is the favourite, the other Willie Mullins runner, which he's got Colin Keane on, which actually might surprise a few people given the fact that Ethical Diamond won so well last time. But Hip Hop de Loire has been a bit of a talking horse since it arrived at Mullins Yard from France. And I suspect that people in the yard have been backing that one. They seem to think that that's well handicapped. Colin Keane in the saddle. I find it hard to get a peg on either of these Mullins runners, to be perfectly honest, in terms of this race, over a mile and 3/4 at York. And the one I like, and I've liked for a long time, and I've tipped it here a couple of times, Robert, you'll remember Market Raisin. I tipped it to win that summer handicap hurdle, and it just get caught in the run-in, finished second. But that's the exact same prep race that Adrian Keatley used last year for Kihava. Went on to finish second in the Ebor straight after this. After that, goes for the Ebor again off the same prep race. He'll be 100% fit. He's reasonably well handicapped. I don't think at his age, with all those consistent performances, the handicapper's ever going to give him a break. So you have to accept where he is in the handicap at the moment. PJ McDonald rides this horse well, knows this horse really well, gave it a great ride to win at Musselburgh earlier in the season. And PJ's riding out of his skin, as you well know, had a big winner at York on the opening day. Kihava, because I don't know enough about the Mullins runners, and I say that for both of them, I'm going to tip Kihava each way. And I'm just going to throw in another one, a huge price for a saver, and that is Fleetfoot, trained by Jim Bolger. Rare to see Bolger with a runner over here at York this week. It's got a £4 penalty for winning last time. The last time I looked, no jockey was booked, but I'm sure there'll be a jockey shortly. But wearing cheek pieces for the first time, and at 50 to 1, 50 to 1, might be worth small money each way. But Kihava, my main each way selection. What about you?
Just looking at it, I thought ascending for Henry de Bromhead, who won the Ascot Stakes. I thought
Yeah,
only getting £3 for that was quite light. And he might have a chance coming over here again. But the one I'm probably going to back is Shadow Dance, which had a really interesting comeback run at Goodwood after 10 months off. Won at this meeting last year over a mile and four. Looked at that time was a horse going in the right direction. Now, I don't know if the horse had a setback or something. Just made its comeback there at Goodwood over 10 furlongs, which is too short for it. Hadn't run over 10 furlongs for 2 years. Jack Mitchell anchored him second last, but he made up a real bit of ground in the last couple of furlongs, and was a proper eye catcher there, and just got kind of stuck in behind horses again, just coming towards the line. Ended up finishing, I think it was eighth or so. I'm beating 6 lengths, but
yeah.
there was a lot to be encouraged by in that run. So I just having seen that race at Goodwood, I thought Shadow Dance was one to keep an eye on the next time. So I quite like the look at him. The only worry would be good to firm ground. He's running that once, and it was a bit of a blowout for him. So the ground might be a slight concern, but there was definitely enough in his Goodwood comeback to think he might be worth a second look each way. And as I say, ascending. You know, Ethical Diamond, we're talking about him going up £8. Ascending one, a Royal Ascot Racing has gone
Yeah.
up £3. And if you think back to that race, he actually won that race really well that day. So it's obviously a big step back in trip, but I think Ascending for Henry de Bromhead would probably be my saver in the race.
And I've noticed over the past few days, Henry de Bromhead's horses, Robert, running really, really well under both codes. So that's very much one to know. And we always talk about Tony Bloom on here, the football connection, but of course there's a football connection with Shadow Dance, big Spurs connection.
Yeah, well, you've got Alan Brazil, Glenn Hoddle, and Ozzy Ardiles are the three
Yeah.
owners, along with, can't remember the name of the stud, but it's Alan Brazil seems to be the main driver behind their little syndicate. So uh, I'm sure he'll enjoy it if they win.
I
What
think he
else
might.
Aye, what they'll drink the place dry.
Uh,
What else you fancy in the York card, Jim?
I'm going to put two more up at York on Saturday before we move to Cartmel. And the two are in the Melrose handicap, which of course is the 3-year-old Ebor, if you like. And I'm going for another Charlie Johnson one here. Polestar, ridden by Connor Beasley. Joe Fanning's on the other one, Novelista. Now, the two of these fought out a finish. There was only a short head in it at Haydock earlier in the season. Novelista's been beaten since then. Polestar has won again since then. And interestingly, Connor Beasley was on this horse, Polestar, at Haydock, keeps the ride at York, and I think is a very progressive young 3-year-old. So I'm going to go for Polestar in the 225. And just another mention for Jim Goldie, because Jordan Electrics ran on the opening day Wednesday. Just got squeezed out at a crucial time over 5 furlongs on Wednesday on the Knavesmire. The intention was, and I know this because he said it on Monday night at air, the intention always was to run this horse twice this week. So they go again on Saturday in the 410, up to 6 furlongs. Obviously, the exact same handicap mark. Paul Mulrennan in the saddle again. And I suspect, given that a lot of punters will have been disappointed with the horse on Wednesday, that this will be a decent each way price on Saturday. So Jordan Electrics, each way, 410 York on Saturday.
Is there anything else at York you fancy?
Yeah, just one in the final race, one that I've been looking at for a while, and it's trained by David Thomson, small time trainer, really. It might not like me saying that, but compared to some of the real big boys, he really is a small time trainer. Jason Hart rides a horse called Ron O, 7-year-old now, but this horse has got some really, really good form in the book, and I've just noticed the last couple of times it's been running well, maybe not being fully extended. I think Ron O, with 100 grand up for grabs at 520 on Saturday, might just be worth an each way bet. Ron O, 520 York Saturday.
And then we've got jumping at Cartmel on Saturday as well. So we kind of let that go by without at least putting one up.
Of course.
Of course, Jim, we'll do live our summer jumps. So the 245, 3 mile one hurdle. I think Dusky Days is likely to go well again. It ran finished first and second 3 days apart last month, but he's up £10 now. Had 4 weeks off though, so should run another big race. But I just wonder if that £10 might stop that one. So the horse I quite fancy in this is Moral Rock, which beat Ocean Legacy at Stratford 4 weeks ago over slightly longer, a furlong longer, 3 mile two, getting £7 that day. There's a £5 sort of close up in the weight, so he just gets £2 this time. But the manner of that win suggests that he'll beat Ocean Legacy again. And the thing here is Sarah Ender's stable, since the start of the new National Hunt season in May, her form is 571 222 1051. So
Wow.
it's a small
Yeah.
stable, but pretty much everything they send out seems to be running well and hitting the frame. So Moral Rock, which won at Stratford 4 weeks ago, I think that'll probably go in again in the 245.
Well, we'll watch Cartmel with interest, Robert. And of course, we have some great racing coming up over the next few weeks. We've got Doncaster coming up, the St Leger meeting. We've got the Air Gold Cup meeting coming up as well. And to everybody watching, we're just so grateful you're all here with us every week. And we hope to see you again next week as well. And thanks to you, Robert, for today.
Thanks, Jim. Good luck this week, folks.